Welcome to the world of Elia Learning. Today, we're going to discuss the story Madam Rides the Bus. There was a young girl of 8 years old called Wally. She was a curious girl and spent her time standing in the front doorway of her house, watching what was happening in the street. She was most fascinated by the bus that traveled between her village and the nearest town. The bus passed through her street each hour as it went to town and back. As she watched the bus each day, she began to develop a strong wish. She wanted to ride on that bus. As days and months passed by, Wally listened carefully to conversations between her neighbors and people who used the bus. She even asked discreet questions once in a while. She soon gathered various details about the bus journey, the fare and distance to town, etc. She learned that it cost 30 paise one way and she could return in the same bus if she sat on her seat and paid another 30 paise. She kept on thinking, calculating and planning as the days went by. In order to fulfill her wish of riding the bus to town, Wally had saved every paisa she could and finally she had saved 60 paise. Now her next task was to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. She managed this too. She decided she would make the trip when her mother took her daily afternoon nap from about 1 to 4. One fine spring day, Wally finally boarded the bus and headed to town. She walked to an empty seat and sat as the bus drove on. Wally soon sat up on the seat and looked out of the window as the bus drove along a canal. Beyond the canal, she could see palm trees, distant mountains, and the blue sky. Wally is soon advised by an elderly man to sit down as he is concerned for her safety. She sits down but informs the elderly man that she was the only child in the bus and that she had paid for her ticket. Once the conductor gave her a ticket, she stood up on the seat again to catch the view outside. Soon, an elderly woman with large, ugly earrings in her earlobes boards the bus and sits next to Wally. The elderly woman asks Wally many questions as she was concerned about a young girl traveling alone. Wally simply tells her not to bother and continues staring out of the window. Suddenly, Wally claps her hands with joy. She spots a young cow running with its tail raised right in front of the bus. The more the bus honked, the more the cow ran. Wally found it so amusing that she laughed till her eyes became filled with tears. Further down, the bus came to a railway crossing and Wally watched in awe as a train rushed past with a tremendous rattle. Once the bus reaches the town, everyone gets off except Wally. When the conductor asks her if she wanted to get off, Wally simply says she wants to take a ride back home on the same bus and gives the conductor another 30 paise for a return ticket. She waits alone at her seat until more passengers board before the bus sets off again. On her way back, she finds a young cow lying dead by the roadside. When she learns from the conductor that it was the same cow she had seen on her way to town, she is overcome by sadness. She was so saddened that she no longer looked out of the window. The bus soon reached her village and Wally got off the bus. When she enters a house, she finds her mother talking to one of her aunts. Wally smiles to herself and carries on.